What a run Sunderland are on in the Premier League. After looking nowhere near promotion, they managed to squeeze through it. That Tom Watson goal meant Reggie Lebris, who was sacked from Lorient, earned his money at Sunderland as he took them up and now has them well in the Prem. As I looked at rebuilding struggling clubs in the Premier League, and I've done quite a few of them. So I'm going to flip it on its head today, take over Sunderland, try and make sure the glory sticks. As Reggie Lebris is sticking, I couldn't even make myself the manager of this club because he deserves that title and we want to win more titles with Sunderland. As yes people, welcome to a rebuild where they've all got nice pictures, all back in shape. Sunderland really spent money trying to survive in this Premier League, and I'm laughing because it's unreal. Players down here, and as you can tell by the injuries and the suspensions, we've got live points on, and we seem to have everybody smiling, like Daniel, Lefay, not Traore, and also, where the heck is Masuaku looking? Look at the camera, my friend, as Granit Xhaka is the highest rated by far. Then we've got Mukiele, Reynildo, Alderete. Youth prospects which are amazing, like Chris Rigg, only 18-year-old, and the striker, Mayenda, not playing because of Isidore's goals. As much as him, the new signings Noah Siddiqui and Chelmsdine Talby, and also Robin Roofs, who's dropped a couple of stinkers, but overall great. Aston Villa comes to mind there, but when we do check, not everybody's gone to plan, like Brian Brobby. I believe he was playing in the reserves the other day. And yeah, rating-wise, apart from Xhaka, this team isn't done justice. We've got to try and make it more justice, but these aren't contract rules or set in stone, but I do want to sign at least 3 players from Africa, as that's where Sunderland have excelled. Habib Diarra, for example. I also would like 3 Timewear Derby wins. I know that can't be guaranteed. Before winning the Champions League, the overall aim, and that is what we want most of all. And what we must win, by the way, as I just really like the side I'm looking at. I'm going to try and change this up because we have used the live points. Enzo Lefay is going to start for me. Also going to take Hume out for Gitruida despite the potential in him. Brobby goes up front. I've got to pick a team that's going to win in-game, not in real life, because if it was based off real life, Dan Ballard would be starting week in, week out for me. But that might be Nordi Mukiele, who I am going to be trying to change to a centre-back. And I might be changing the formation, not just yet, though. I'm happy with the 4-1-4-1. Guess the best out of Xhaka, gets our centre-mids like Lefay, just playing in front of him, but doesn't help one player when I scroll to him. Christopher Rigg may need loaning out, although he does show great potential. He's one for the future, maybe a future Jude Bellingham, but Bellingham never reached the Prem. And our live points, by the way, take us to 9 games played in the Prem. So Everton is the team up next. We sit 4th in the Champions League spots they're not in now. I believe they're down in 7th again, but still, I'm going to take that. I'm not going to change anything. At the time of recording, they do play Everton tonight with the chance of going back up there. If they win, it's 36 million. Now, I'm not going to focus on the academy, just due to the stars we already have there. I just want this team to keep on plodding along and hopefully not fall off this hype train they're riding in the Premier League at the start of this season. And I've put coaches in to hopefully stop a fall off. Right, and before we actually check the table, because I'm nervous to do, going to check the team. We've got Robin Roos in goal. He's been selected for the Dutch team. 79, but only 23. Alderete's okay. He's a little bit on the older side, but he's a left-footed centre-half. I want these two swapping around. Mukiele central. Xhaka obviously on the way down, which I expected. Brobby 80, so we're getting the best out of him. Simon Adingra's another one I haven't spoken upon. And another AFCON player. This team's probably rotted within the months of AFCON being on, but we do have this man, Habib Diarra, who does beat Siddiqui to the team, but I want Siddiqui maybe replacing Xhaka. Then again, we've got Daniel down on the bench, and also Chris Rigg. Then again, we lose Gitruida to get Hume in, so another OG comes back to the team. There's Nordi Mukiele, a better centre-half than right-back, with Chris Rigg training as a centre-mid, and it actually takes his rating up 1. Maybe still a loan deal if we could find him a championship-level club. Maybe whoever's relegated this season will want to take him on and make him a better player, as we have got a few 80 rateds in our side now, alongside Granit Xhaka, who, funnily enough, is our top scorer. Then it's Simon Adingra, Isidore, Reynildo, Brobby only grabbing 4. And we finish 14th. Not the 4th place finish. I want to get Chris Rigg to one of them 3 clubs. But yeah, 14th, not good enough. It's a massive drop-off with me kind of in charge. I guess it's still Lebris, but controlled by me. And especially when the team's improved, we should not be going down in the table. Then again, we've stayed in the Premier League, and we should get a bigger budget as Leeds beat us in the FA Cup. And we're not even in the Carabao Cup. Did they lose early on in this save? I mean, every save I do with life points, I see Grimsby beaten by Brentford. It gave us no chance, and we didn't have any chance. We lost 5-0 the other night. I had to go to that game, as hopefully that grows next season, the 34 mil, and let me know in the comments below. Do you think Sunderland will keep it up? Do you think they will get into Europe? I'm not talking Champions League, maybe Conference League, maybe even the Europa. Yeah, let me know right in a comment below, and whilst you are, of course, down there, leave a like and subscribe, as we're on the race to 70k before the January 1st of 2026. If we could do that, means a lot, as now, without Granit Xhaka being the main man at the team, well, first off, we can definitely come out of deep and change this shape up. I reckon most of our players would suit the DM position. I know I've just changed Chris Rigg. Maybe I need to change that guy back. He's off on loan this season anyway, so it doesn't matter too much. As Granit Xhaka, the deep line with a holding next to him, inside forwards, and basically 2 strikers. Diarra's going to be the cam in this side, because it says he can be. However, I'm very surprised on Siddiqui. Why has he not grown in a CDM position? I think once we change him, he kind of will. Reinildo, I think we'll get another season out of. Alderete could be replaced, maybe. Try Hume. I really want to give the OG a chance, but 24 is older than I thought he was. Maybe I do because we've lost Geertruida, but still, we've got 44 players here. Way too many, and still, we don't need to stack up a budget, 62 million. However, the aim for Libri to finish in a Europa League spot. Madness, but I am sticking by my guns in getting rid of players, trimming this squad down, some on loan out, like Alstich going to Stoke, and then some permanent, like Adil Aluchiche going to RC Lens. Never going to actually use him. Same with Ian Poveda as well. Good luck to him at Leicester City. Enjoy your time with the Foxes. Has so many pieces of business done. You can see loans out as well. 4 more players, but they won't be the last 4, but we've got more to come in. As I feel satisfied on 77 million, we've still lost money. Somehow, I don't know. But I did say I wanted 3 AFCON players. And with it being at a point where if we make any more outgoings, we might lose some of our targets, we need to get going with business very soon. Reggie Lebris, the manager, like I've said previously, is French, did coach Lorient, and I know there's some decent players from the African part of the world. Bamo Miete, he couldn't fit in the team straight away, but he is a potential option alongside Mohamed Salisu. Premier League experience with Southampton, but I found the best of the bunch. It is Akbar Silya, a left-footed centre-back, really good. From Strasbourg, and doesn't cost too much, because I actually want a big signing this year. And said signing, I want in an actual attacking position, or an offensive one, maybe midfield. Granit Xhaka being our top scorer last season cannot stick. We need someone more offensive, and I know we've got 2 decent wingers. With Romain Mundel out on loan, shout out Morsi, we have room for another one, and one we'll probably lose for AFCON because this man's an actual treat. Asen Diao comes from Como to help out the Black Cats. This man cost a lot of money to only raise by 1 overall. Weird one, and Granit Xhaka going down, Siddiqui not ready as a CDM. Diarra the same going forward, so we've had multiple players out of position. Brobbey, Roefs and Mukiele, 3 summer signings just gone. Have been the best here for Sunderland. Simon Adingra is now on the right-hand side, however, and the squad is still very large, with Cilia being kind of a backup. And despite all these players out on loan, Sealed, Pembele, Mundel, even Barr, Mayenda's out for 2 years, we've got Matt Young going out to Houston Dynamo in America, I still almighty struggled to get Chris Rigg a loan out of the club. He just wouldn't accept anywhere, and now we've stuck him here without changing his position back. But we do have a few cams to change, such as Diarra himself, and then Siddiqui's actually going to move back to that CDM role, with Enzo Lefebvre also being a cam. He's gone to a 79. An OG from the Championship, I don't mind filtering into the squad. And let's see if we got more goals. Well, we did with the signing. We needed to score. Diao got 21, Brobbey 15. But apart from that, players out of position, less points than last season, 15th. We've gone down by a spot, 20 defeats. I trusted Try Hume at right back. Maybe that's tried. and tested. Lebris did bring in Mukiele and Gitruida for a reason, I guess. And look at that for an FA Cup final. We've got the Cherries versus the Hatters. Very close competitive game, but we lose 3-1 to Wolves. We lose 3-2 to Nottingham Forest in round 2 of the Carabao Cup. And one thing I forgot to check last year was the Timewear Derbies. Newcastle United in this league, I want 3 wins, but we lost to them there. However, in the reverse fixture at home, 3-2 win at the Stadium of Light is lovely stuff. As now our mindset's got to kind of change. There is 2 positions I want to change, which is Alderete. However, we've just brought in 2 centre-halves, really. Not only Cilia, who's 24-year-old, left-footed, I thought would be better, but Ballard's been out of this squad. His rating was left behind, but now it kind of isn't. So he could filter in there. And then the other change I've got to make, we've got Daniel, but Granit Xhaka, 34, 81. Play style galore. He's got the chip ball, which I love to use, but he isn't seeing a UCL final. Same as Reinildo, who saw Europe with Atleti, and I don't know if I actually use him. £66 million. I actually don't know if I sell him, because that number needs to go up for us to spend well. 2 Timewear Derby wins and 1 AFCON player away from reaching the aims I actually set myself. It's a shame we actually haven't built as a team yet towards that Champions League title. And hey, a loan deal. If he actually leaves the club, Chris Rigg should play at Cagliari. Give him the game time, go on. As Alan Brown, I'm still trying to sell players. Last year was mostly loaning, so we still do have about 40 here. And that number needs to come down as Chris Rigg. Enjoy Italy. If he can do half what McTominay did, I'd love it. We'll have a proper cam to come back to the squad. As Reinildo, I am selling. Back over to La Liga he goes, but Granit Xhaka I will keep around, as well as Dan McNeil. Or Dan Neil, sorry, as hey, I loaned this guy out last year, Sirkin. He can go onto our bench. Masuaku sold, and then we prioritise there. However, midfield, I've got a name, and he's one of my favourite players in the game. Or he certainly was last year. I had no idea AS Monaco signed him. Lamine Camara, I am not leaving him out, and that makes 3 AFCON players to reach the aims in my mind, as I'm going to change him to a DM, but his passing and pace is really good for potentially a winger build, but Diao supported by Mundell should be perfect. Noah Siddiqui partnered with Neil, and then Kamara coming in. Absolutely extraordinary. With this last 38 million, definitely not going on an African player, as I don't want to lose my whole squad when it comes to AFCON in December. And that is how I didn't plan on this season going. You'll see the left back in a minute, but Sunderland will play in the Champions League. A place they can go in real life if they beat Everton is 3rd position, and we've done it in season number 3. 3rd in 3. It's excellent. In the FA Cup, I believe we had a decent run. Yes, I'm right. When I was simming, I saw we did reach the semi-finals against Liverpool, a team that's been begging to sign Diao offers, the winger that we signed momentarily, and Everton beating Sunderland is not a good sign for after this video. I think you guys have seen this video way after the Everton game, in fact, and this is the team. There's a new signing, Joaquim says, or Joaquim, I don't know how you say it, from Juventus, 81 overall, Belgian, and this team really coming along nicely. We've got Enzo Lefebvre, who doesn't want to play for us anymore, so unfortunately, some little issues. Granit Xhaka is another one because his wage is high and he's 35. Don't want him playing anymore, and I don't see Chris Rigg above 81. These are the best players. At least Try Humes fit into the team now. Don't know where we sign next year. Mayenda should be back from his loan very shortly. Oh, and Chris Rigg, that potential has just absolutely left the chat. Terrible at Cagliari as Brian Brobby continues to be the best with Diao and Haidara just behind them. A beautiful cam. As I'm going to go away, come back and try and think about where we sign next year. Maybe it is centre-back again, but this team in the UCL. And I am back a few days later after finishing that last season. Champions League football, eh? And this team that needs to improve. If we are to put up a fight and try and reach the Champions League finale, which I don't think we're going to do, also win the FA Cup, finish in a champ's place again. And I didn't check the derby day, but I'm checking the budget, and that's A-OK, 132 million. Now I know what we need first of all. Goes without saying, we do not need AFCON players anymore. We've signed plenty of those. And we have signed plenty of centre-backs, but Alderete is 31, Mukiele is 30. And then we've got plenty of players players back like Chris Rigg, not too great, and Mayenda getting close to the squad. I mean, Chris Rigg can replace Granit Xhaka, who's not there yet, and Cilia still in the reserves. That's a signing I didn't enjoy, as this bench isn't too cracking, but I like every player on it and think they will improve as centre-back. Go on with the owner of Sunderland and, of course, the manager, both being French. We've spent a lot of time looking in France, but this time I just want a French central defender overall to go next to Mukiele, and I wish I would have got this guy before Bournemouth did. And no, not in this save. Diakite has joined them in real life. He's got the playstyles, got the pace, got age on his side. I believe he's under 23. I'm hoping I'm right with that, or we could just go for the next version of him, or even better, in Jean-Christophe Joly at Bayer Leverkusen, as this guy looks incredible. His physical's really high, and his defending still got room to grow, as Lukeba's going to be my backup option if we can't get him in first. And I know he's going to be a right footer on the left, and that really stresses me out, but it would stress me out if we actually didn't go ahead and sign this guy, offering 100 million on the dot. Like I said, the owner of Sunderland not only is French, but he's got a lot of money and a lot of passion, and he's wanting a top 10 finish, IRL, or even better, adding this man to the mix, as that team potentially could cause some upsets. And his season went terribly. Got an injury. He's been out for 8 weeks. He hasn't grown. I've stunted his growth. What is going on here? As our best player at the club is Robin Roves, 91. Ahead of Habib, ahead of Asandiao. With Brobby grabbing a lot of goals, but no growth. This has got me slightly concerned. At least our AFCON players are doing well. And obviously, we don't need to sign any more of those. No growth gone to the centre-back on the bench in Alderete, covering Jolly. No growth to Kamara. And although I thought we hadn't done well with hardly any growth into the squad, it seems like we're still very well going in England. First, 100 goals scored, 102 points scored. Unbelievable achievement, and that is not only getting us back into the Champions League, but getting us a Premier League trophy. Brilliant, but that's not the overall aim. I'm going to check the Timewear Derbies in a moment. I'm not going to try forget about them, as Chelsea lost 1-0 in the quarter-finals of the Emirates FA Cup, and we lost in the semis to Man City 2-0 as they win the Carabao. But I want to see this, the Champions League, as we are top of the league phase. Never usually do that, and hopefully that means really good for the Black Cats, because I've got no other transfer ideas. I'll sure and figure some out for next season. As you can see, we won 3-1 in both derbies. Look at that. That is a highly 3-1 winning month. And I'll take a 3-1 in the round of 16 to get us on the Champions League. Hull, but Frankfurt 2-1. We absolutely crumbled. And what's more embarrassing, the time that Sunderland were relegated all the way down to League One in back-to-back seasons, or what we've just done, because that was awful. And what was also awful from me is the fact I didn't show you what I've been planning for almost 2 seasons now, and that is Kamara to a CDM. Maybe if he was actually changed beforehand, we would have done better, and Chris Rigg back to a cam, a player I just can't make my mind up on, but I think in this save, he might be done. And that does pay me to say, because I know he plays in real life, I know he's got bags of potential, but we need to make this side even better somehow. And 155 million, we're stunted in growth, and Jolly is injured. I think he'll recover quite fine. We've got Sadiki who could drop to the bench, but then again, Dan McNeil is okay. And I've called him McNeil again. I'll keep doing that, but I do get a lot of offers for some of these players, so if we sell some of our bench, make our bench stronger, and then flood into the starting 11, I think we'll eventually be fine. And a loan offer for Patterson. Not the real thing I expected, but I'm going to do it anyway, see how he grows. And it might be because I've got a plan to bring in a goalkeeper. That's the only plan I have in mind for a signing. So out he goes. Now, I hope he gets some growth. But then again, might have preferred it to be a permanent deal, because the one I have coming in is going to be permanent, and I'm hoping he hasn't retired after our failures. It is this man, and I'm kind of doing it because he's moved out of the country. I want to bring him home, bring him back to the team where he belongs. Jordan Pickford, the ex-academy graduate. He's not going to be alone, though. I'm going to buy 2 players here with all this money, as I'm going to spend big again on another centre-back. I know we should trust Jolly, but I'm not going to do it. We need a bench player anyway, and Costello Lukeba. Gone big on him, but I don't know. I don't know where else to go actually big on, so I'm going to add him to the defence and hope we just don't humiliate ourselves for 2 seasons. And come on, let's have made it this season as a disaster strikes in season number 5, being below the goddamn Geordies. Oh, that's not going to go down very well, but we're above City, above Arsenal, above Chelsea, meaning we will be in the Champions League again if we don't take our shot this season. And Brighton beat us in the Community Shield. What is happening with trophies here, and what is happening with Newcastle? As long as they didn't beat us, okay, we lost to Spurs. Still not good. They weren't in the top 4, and we lose on penalties to Leicester City in the Carabao, but Champions League above Monaco. Worse than last year, but still, that doesn't mean anything. Last year was an absolute disaster class. After this round, the round of 16, where we look out beating Ajax. Then we go and beat Monaco in an absolutely thrilling 2-leg tie. Before Fenerbahce, another thriller, and we shouldn't really be struggling against them. But we do, and that leads to the finale. The finale is an all-English one. Manchester City, we still haven't checked our players. It's going to be at the Stadion Olympique. If it doesn't change, and this is the team, now Lukaber's took over Jolly to a 91. That's unbelievable, that, because he's actually 26. Jolly, on the other hand, on the bench, is 24. Jolly Ollie. Or not so Jolly Ollie, because he's not playing with Diarra 92. Robbie's still not hit the 90s. Kamara's grown a lot as a DM. And I believe we've had a worse season, but the growth is getting better. We've got some +3s, not just stuck at no growth. With Brobby scoring 46 and only getting a +1. Make it make sense with Diao and Haidara, 23 assists. And one thing I've got to say going into this finale is my impressed nature of the Senegalese players we have. Honestly, the growth in them have been extraordinary, and now we're at the Olympus Stadion. It's always changing. Couldn't you have just put it at Wembley? It's a similar travel, but then it might have felt like a Carabao Cup. So Fofana, Malik tries to run down the wing, Adingra into Brian Brobby, can't get away from his man, and Echeverry onto the robot Viking Haaland. Chasing them down. Rodri, one of the best teams we're facing in a while. And I should have messed with the tactics to counter them, because City like to keep the ball and Sadiki likes to win it back for us. As now we move. Habib Diarra out wide into Adingra. Adingra to just keep on running here if he can cut it back or go himself. Nice little skill move. Noon Mensch at the back. Are you kidding me with Donnarumma? I'm slightly more focused on their team than I actually am on ours. And Try Hume wins it, not Denver Hume. Bit of a snaky player, that one, as Diarra. This is a counter-attack, and Brobby scored 46 goals this season, passing it back into Diarra with very good footwork. And the Senegalese, what did I say? Doing the backflip, has us 1-0 up in this finale. City have been the better team in the first 20, but as the clock strikes the 21st and 5th second in the game, Habib breaks through and breaks Haaland fanboys' hearts. Excellent goal, Dingra. We need to go for another one, though, and I don't know why I picked out Haaland. I've picked out Lamine here, who goes for a mean shot. And I am recording this on the 3rd of November, so I can hear fireworks already starting. Wrong night, as Adingra needs to cause some for the Sunderland fans. Losing the ball again, and then Brian Brobby wins it back. Habib Diarra, can he get his second of the game? Ruben Diaz with the block. City really getting stronger in their defensive work, as there's a ball through to Brian again. His building FC26 is a bit weird. He's very, very stocky in regards to just being a little bit, so it's hard to get him a running behind. And Sadiki onto Lamine Kamara. Don't lose it out to Rodri. Don't lose it to the fullback. It's hard to get past this blue wall, as we've got to try and suck them out to go back in. Here's Diarra with a nice turn. Can he get his second of the game? I went near post. Donnarumma was always getting that. A terrible decision from me, but Haaland almost scored a header in the first half. Lukaber, almost 2. However, we should be almost over here. Nothing happening since that Lukaber chance. But could we get another? Asen Diao trying to drill it into the box. It is Kusanov to come away with it. Please, referee, blows that whistle. Sunderland have beaten Manchester City to the Champions League. I won't lie to you guys, not the most exciting finale I've ever played as well, but Habib Diarra's goal should have had 2, but that's the decider to allow Mukiele to lift the trophy, the one we really, really aimed for and failed in drastically last season. But I won't fail you guys if you're desperate for a rebuild. Leave your teams down in the comments below, or check the channel if it's done before, or click these because YouTube are trying to tell you what you might like.